Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be giving you a breakdown of how I created my latest AI generated music video called Venomous. Now if you haven't watched it, the link is in the description. Now keep in mind that this is a breakdown and not a 100% step-by-step process, so instead I'm going to be giving you a whole bunch of valuable insight and tips and tricks that you can use to create your own music videos. So let's get started. So in order to generate the song Venomous, I used a text-to-music generator called Suno. You can check the link in the description. It will bring you over to this page. You can sign in and you can generate a couple of songs completely for free. So to break this down quickly, once I'm signed in, I just went to create. And then over here, I made sure I had custom selected because it just gives me more options. Now over here by lyrics, I decided to select write lyrics because I actually wrote my own lyrics. I felt this was important because I wanted to add in some sort of human touch since the AI is already generating the music and the vocals for me. So you can type your own lyrics over here. If you don't have an idea in mind, you can just select auto, describe your lyrics, and then let the AI generate the lyrics for you. If you don't want any lyrics with your song, you can obviously just select instrumental. Now over here by styles is where you define your genre. So the genre for my song is actually fusing, multiple genres together. So you can see it's dark pop, minimal beats, and haunting vocal echoes. So you can have a whole lot of fun over here. You can generate jazz, trap, hip hop, rock, whatever you want. This is where you define your genre. And then from here, it's as simple as clicking on create and it will start generating your song and you'll see it being generated on the right hand side. I also need to mention that whenever you're generating these songs, you want to make sure you have V4 selected because that's going to give you better vocal quality and song structure. And another thing to mention, if you are writing your own lyrics, you need to specify whether something is a verse or a pre-chorus or a chorus by making sure it's contained within these brackets because the AI knows how to interpret that. Once your song is generated, you'll see it on the right hand side and you can click on play to listen to it. I'm shaking, but I'll stay. So if you really like how that sounds, you can click on these three dots and then go to download and download the MP3 audio. That's important because you'll be using that later, in Capcut, so that you've actually got your audio file. If you're also a power user and you want to separate your vocals and your instrumental, you can click on this option called Get Stems. That will generate two new versions, which has the instrumental and the vocals. But I really feel like that's for power users, people that are going to maybe edit the vocals in Fruity Loops or Ableton, but there is that option to export stems. And another useful tip, let's say you really like how the song sounds, but you maybe want to hear a variation of it. If you click on these three dots, you can also go to cover song. So on the left hand side, it places your song over here. Now the AI is going to analyze the overall structure of the song and just how it sounds. And then you can even change the genre right now. Like I can type in jazz and it's going to generate something that sounds like jazz, but also sounds similar to the structure of the song. So this is just an easy way to create variation. But anyway, the most important thing is click on these three dots once you're happy and then just download the MP3 audio. So you've got your song, now it's time to create some visuals. At this point, I'm trying to craft an actual story behind these lyrics before I even start generating images. Now this is something that's going to be a little bit tricky to discuss because this is where you need to add in your own creative touch. So in my case with Venomous, I knew that I was creating a reinterpretation of Adam and Eve. So I need a male and female character. I want them to be in a lush jungle, also known as the Garden of Toxicity. I want Adam to be represented as the serpent. And I crafted this entire visual narrative within my own head to create this music video. Now let's say you guys don't have any idea in mind. You can obviously use AI to give you some ideas, and I'm going to recommend using Claude, and I'm going to show you the type of prompt I used over here to generate this very descriptive outcome over here that can give you a whole bunch of ideas for your music video. So you can see over here, you guys can obviously pause the video to see what I've typed. I've basically described to the AI, given it a general idea of what visuals I actually want to be present and what those visuals and how they should relate to the lyrics. And that's another thing. You can see over here, the lyrics I used to generate the song, I've also put those exact same lyrics over here into this context box. So once I've got all of this in place and I click on this button to generate, Claude does an extremely good job of, you can see it lists the key visual elements. It talks about the characters. Over here, it gives me opening shots. It gives me shots that I can use for verse 1 and even shots related to specific lyrics within the song as well. So this is a very descriptive way to generate some more ideas that you can use for generating images. However, I think it's important to have some sort of human touch as well. It's good to collaborate with AI, but try and get creative over here and think of your own ideas as well for images that you want to generate. So now you've got your written narrative and you need to accompany that with some visuals. So I'm opting to use Reve. Reve is actually a brand new image generator with amazing aesthetics, and you can generate 100 images on here completely for free. So just head over to this link, which is in the description, and then sign in. So it's very easy to use. Now I already know what type of visuals I want to create. I need to create a visual of Eve, and she's going to be my starting image. So everything starts from Eve. I want to generate an image of a female that's in a very lush and dense jungle. So this was the starting prompt that I used. You can see over here, this is where you'll type in your prompt. And I've also selected a 16:9 aspect ratio because I want that wide format. I want 2 images, and this enhance button, if you leave this on, which you should, it makes your prompts a lot more detailed, which can actually give you a much better quality output. You also want to leave this on auto because it will generate variation between your images. So once I have my prompt, I click on this button to generate it, and it will start generating that image for me. So I personally loved the realistic cinematic aesthetic of this image, and the rest of this video is essentially built off this single image, which is actually pretty crazy. Right now you can obviously, if you're doing mood boards, you can generate multiple images. If you're going for certain colors, that's up to you. I took one image and decided to run with it. So if I select this image, there's another option over here. You can see by edit prompt, because I had an enhance on, it gave me a very detailed prompt to create this beautiful image. But now if I select instruct, this is a way to make small changes to this image while still trying to keep everything else consistent with the overall aesthetics or the colors. But instead of having a female, I can type in something here like swap out the female for a black male character. He has orange serpent eyes, right? Just something as basic like that. And as soon as I type that in, you can see that the image it generated of Adam is actually quite similar to this. They're both standing next to the leaves, they're both in this garden, but now it's swapped out that character. So this is a very easy way to make changes to an image or to introduce new elements while still retaining some sort of consistency with all of those elements. So this instruct feature is extremely powerful. As long as I have the base image of Eve selected, I can instruct it to essentially change the narrative. So maybe I can say remove the woman and instead have an image of 2 hands holding each other. One hand is a black hand, the other hand is a white female hand. Or I can introduce elements of a serpent, or maybe a top-down shot of a female in a pond. Now in terms of character consistency, you're not going to have that with this. This is just a way to build out different, a different visual narrative that has some sort of continuity. If we're talking about character consistency, I'll show you how I did that using ChatGPT 4.0 later in the tutorial, but you can use Reve to build your visual narrative with some sort of continuity just by using instruct. So once I've used Reve, to build out some other visual elements, maybe I've generated my characters, maybe some other shots of the scenery, maybe other close-up shots of hands or animals and all of that are going to be present. I want to generate shots that are also going to have some sort of consistency between the characters, because this narrative is between Adam and Eve. So how do I get character consistency? You can't really do it with Reve, and this is why you are going to need to use another service, which is ChatGPT 4.0. You are going to need a $20 subscription over here to use this properly and to its full potential, because you want to access Sora.com where you can generate some images. ChatGPT 4.0 is extremely good at editing images. There's so much you can do with it, but I want to show you an example of how you can use this service to make some edits. So for instance, with this image of this orange serpent, which is actually Adam, because in my narrative Adam turns into the serpent, I had this image generated with Reve. Now I could not generate another image of a serpent with Adam that would essentially have the exact same composition. Like you can see over here, the leaves are very similar, and the composition is almost exactly the same, but it swapped out the man with a serpent. So I uploaded this image onto the platform, and essentially I just typed in another prompt. I said generate the image in the same style, which is important. Then I said, but replace the man with a human and snake hybrid. The man has scaly orange skin and a serpent's tongue sticking out of its mouth. I then generated that image, and this is what it gave me. Now this image is perfect to create the shot where I actually show that transition where Adam turns into a serpent. But this is just a really good way to easily make edits to images. You don't even need to open Photoshop for stuff like this. Like here's another shot, but this is of Eve, right? There's that base image from Reve of Eve. And then I had a second image of a woman laying in water, you know, surrounded by these serpents. But I want Eve's likeness to be transferred over to this image. So I said use the first image, but place her in a similar scenario like the second image where she's in a pond with orange snakes crawling on her face. So now I've got Eve and her likeness in a completely different scenario. So this is how you can continue with your narrative storytelling while having some sort of character consistency. And there's all sorts of stuff that you can do over here by editing these images. You can say I even took that same serpent from earlier and put that serpent in a different scene. So if you guys are trying to advance your narrative, ChatGPT 4 makes it so easy to make edits to your image. Again, another image where, you know, Adam's holding Eve's hand, but I wanted this serpent tattoo to be burned onto her skin. Trying to do stuff like this traditionally in Photoshop would take a long time. ChatGPT 4.0 does it simply by typing prompts. So if you guys want to make edits to images, I highly recommend ChatGPT 4.0. So once you've got all of your images generated, now this next step would be optional because it depends on how you enjoy working, but I like to use these mood boards or shot selections on an infinite canvas. So this is a great way to brainstorm. It allows you to visually see your narrative, right? And you can put in notes over here and all that good stuff. So I'm using a website called Miro.com. It's free. You can drag and drop images in here. You can see I can type out text describing what these shots are. I can put these sticky notes down. Maybe this is a prompt that I'll use to bring that image to life. But this gives me a visual representation of how the narrative is actually evolving. Again, I can put down more shots over here. As you can see, what I think is going to happen between each shot on verse 1. So it's a great way to brainstorm with something visual. So I'm a visual learner, and obviously we are creating visuals, and I think this is just a great way to work. Especially if you're working with teams, you can have other people collaborate on here and throw in some other ideas for you as well. So having these infinite canvases are extremely useful. But again, it's optional. It depends how you enjoy working. So now it's time to bring those visuals to life. Now I used 4 services. I understand this can get really expensive and you probably don't need to use all 4 like me, but I'm going to explain why I used each platform. And the main one that I used is by Lumalabs, right? It's Dream Machine by Lumalabs, and I use their Ray 2 model. So essentially this allows you to, you can see over here, I dragged and dropped an image over here, which was my base image of Eve. You can select their Ray 2 video model and the resolution that I want to generate that video in, as well as the duration. So it currently does 5 seconds. So what I'm doing over here is called image to video. So this will turn this image into an actual video. I can type in a prompt over here. Like you can see some of the stuff I've typed. I can say the woman is staring, and then when I click on generate, it's going to generate this beautiful cinematic video that brings Eve to life, right? It's like watching magic unfold. So image to video is a fantastic way to actually bring your visuals to life, and I feel like Lumalabs does a very good job, especially with generating some beautiful results. Now you can see there's obviously a lot of takes over here. Maybe there was certain motion that I didn't like, and that's just the nature of AI. It's not going to be perfect 100% of the time. You will need to re-roll and try different prompts to get different results, but you can see Lumalabs does a really good job with generating beautiful and cinematic results. So that's why I decided to use it for 90% of my visuals. The other platform I use is called Hailuo, and in my opinion, Hailuo is just extremely good at generating emotion. So if you want very subtle emotion with your generations, this platform is perfect. I uploaded an image of Adam and just typed in this prompt. that you see over here. But notice that there's all these subtle little details like the scrunching up of the lips, the way the character is just staring directly at the viewer. Stuff like this, especially with close-up shots, looks extremely good in my opinion. Now, Lumalabs can probably do something similar, but I just really like the output from Hailuo, and that's why I decided to use it. Now, I did only use it for one shot, and that's why I said you probably don't need the platform, but if you want performances, you know, with more emotion, then Hailuo is extremely good. So this is the website that you can check out. Another platform I used is Kling, and Kling is actually extremely good at doing image to video, text to video. You can generate images on here. It's a super good platform, but there was just one particular use case for me during my video where Kling handled it extremely well. It was a transition like this, so it's transitioning between two images, and it's this shot of Eve in the Serpent's mire where this fire erupts. And you can see it transitions from one image, and there we go, there's the second image that now has the tattoo. But with this prompt included, it just gave me this really incredible looking result with the fire, and you can see it's 10 seconds long. So Kling really came through for this particular shot. And then I also used Kling as well for lip syncing, but I'll talk about that later. The last platform I'm using is Pixverse. Now, I feel like every single platform seems to have its own strengths and weaknesses. Pixverse is super good if you guys are doing transitions. What I showed you earlier with Kling, that was also a transition, but Pixverse is the master of transitions, in my opinion. So you can see you can essentially transition from one image to another. Like I've got an image of a snake, and then it transitions into the other image of this tattoo being burned onto this person's hand. And that's the prompt that I used. And then the end result is just beautiful. You can see it's a 5-second duration at 720p resolution. So if you guys are doing anything that involves keyframing, Pixverse is extremely good for that particular use case. During Venomous, you can actually hear the voice of Adam.
Eve, I see you've made it. Now surrender yourself to the poison.
So the way that I did this is to use a website called Elevenlabs, which in my opinion is the best website for AI text-to-speech. So check the link in the description. It'll bring you over to this page. You can sign in and they'll actually give you 10,000 credits for free, which is quite generous, which means that you can actually generate some text. So once I'm on the website, all I did was go to voices. Now over here, there's a whole bunch of voices that you can choose. You can also hover over a voice and click on the play button to hear that voice.
You got to be careful if you don't know where you're going, because
Alright, but what I did was I went to Library because I don't just want to rely on these default voices. Library has a whole bunch of other voices that you can access, and you can see there's voices that are for certain categories, and you can even filter by the gender and by the age as well. So I just searched for a voice called Hakim, which is the voice of Adam.
They tried to bury the truth, but now...
And then once I have a voice that I like, I just click on add, and this adds it as a custom voice. So you can have 3 additional custom voices in addition to all of these standard voices that you see over here. So you can see you'll have it will say over here 3 of 3 slots. And yeah, there I've got Hakim. So if I actually want to use Hakim's voice, there's an option over here that says use. So that brings me over to text to speech, and now I can type in whatever I want. So I can say, hello, my name is Astrova. Thanks for watching. And then it's going to use that voice to actually do text to speech. So I simply just click on generate speech. It'll take just a couple of seconds.
My name is Astrova. Thanks for watching.
And if I don't like how that text has been delivered, I can click on regenerate speech just to get a variation.
Hello, my name is Astrova. Thanks for watching.
Okay. And then, by the way, it's Astrova, so he's not pronouncing the name correctly. But anyway, I can click on this icon to download the text, and then I've essentially done text to speech. During Venomous, I also added some additional sound effects on top of the music track, and the way that I did this was actually very simple. So you'll notice there's one scene where Adam turns into a serpent, and you'll hear this sound effect, which is that splashing water. And the way that I did this, like I said, is really easy, and you can do this for free. So check the link in the description. I use something over here called MM Audio, right? So you can access it on Hugging Face. Now you can upload a video, and you can see this is video to audio synthesis. So the AI analyzes the video and its motion, then you describe in the prompt what that sound effect is supposed to be, and then you can choose a duration, and then the AI is going to apply that sound effect to your video. So for instance, I said underwater, and this is what it sounds like. All right. So it gives me an effect like that. Sometimes it sounds good, sometimes it doesn't sound that great, but it's just a really quick and easy method to apply a sound effect onto a video. You can also do text to audio if you just want to generate audio from a prompt without using a video. If you don't like the audio quality of Audio, you can also generate sound effects with Elevenlabs. You can see there's a sound effect section. Again, you type in the prompt of what you want that sound effect to be, choose a duration and click on generate, and you'll get these different samples. So that's awesome. Or you can go the paid route and access Artlist, which has sound effects created by human beings from the real world. So you've got all of these options to add an additional layer of sound onto your video. Venomous also includes realistic lip syncing, so I use two platforms for this. The first one is Dreaminer, which is my main website, and the next one is Kling AI, which also has its own lip syncing solution. So Dreaminer's lip syncing is using Omni Human 1, which was showcased some time back, but it's actually brand new right now, and it's actually not available to everyone. If you go to this website, which is the link is in the description, and these options are grayed out for you, there is a way to activate this. You will need to use a VPN. So if you're using Chrome, there's a VPN called VPN Proxy VPN, and if you install that, it'll be installed in your browser, and you just need to connect to the United States. Right, and then just click on that button, and then when you refresh the website, you should be able to access the lip sync. So if I left click on here to select lip sync, all you have to do is upload an image of your character and then upload audio. So I had my audio track generated with Suno. I clipped it to 15 seconds because it only supports 15 seconds, and then I just simply clicked on generate, and that was it, and it generated a video for me. So it does take quite a bit of time, sometimes like 15 minutes for a video to generate. So just be patient. My second option for lip syncing was to use Kling. So if I go to the Kling website, you'll obviously need a subscription for this. And if I go to sound, there's an option over here called lip sync. Now this one's really cool because you can upload your own video, or maybe a video that you've generated on another platform. You just drag and drop it over here. It'll upload that video. And then if you click on this audio for lip sync, you can see that you can actually do text to speech and even select a whole bunch of different voices over here. But I uploaded local dubbing. So there, again, this was another section from my song where I clipped just a little bit of that audio. I think it was about 10 seconds. I uploaded that audio over here, and it automatically applied that lip syncing onto a video that already has motion on it. And the result looks like this. So I'll just find that video quickly. It's this video. Your poison runs through my veins, but I keep coming back. So I felt like only the first 3 seconds of this video and lip syncing looked good because the pronunciation of certain words after that just wasn't that great. But Kling can still do a good job with lip syncing if you are looking for a lip syncing solution. Now, of course, there are other lip syncing options, and I'm going to mention them. So for my purpose, I felt like Dreaminer worked very well because it got the pronunciation of words to look very accurate, and Kling also did a good job. But there are other platforms as well, like Hedra, so hedra.com. This can also do lip syncing, and it does a good job, but sometimes there's quite a lot of head movement. Like here's an example.
This is a very special flower. She isn't just any old flower.
It's okay. Sometimes the accuracy of the pronunciation of words isn't 100% accurate. But it's still a platform that you can use for lip syncing. There's also HeyGen. This one's used more for user-generated content or, more corporate stuff.
Hello! This is a quick test to create a virtual human. Yes.
But as you can see, it also does lip syncing. Over here, you can upload an image, supply an audio track, and then it will apply the lip syncing. There's also Runways Act 1. Now this one's pretty cool because you can record a video of yourself and it will automatically map your facial performance onto a video or onto an image. She isn't just any old flower. You can see how I was talking over there, just recording with my webcam, and then it applied my facial performance onto this video that I supplied. Meet Daisy. She isn't just any old flower. So it depends what you're going for, but there are a lot of lip syncing solutions. In my case, Dreaminer worked well for my music video as well as Kling. So once I've got all my puzzle pieces, I need to put them into place. So I'm going to need a video editor. So I decided to use Capcut because it's free and it is very powerful. You can do all sorts of stuff with it. So www.capcut.com, and you can go ahead and download this and install it. So I'm going to do this very briefly. I'm obviously not going to put the entire music video together. That would take a very long time. It actually took me almost 2 days to create that music video. But just to show you how you can put everything together, you can see over there I clicked on create a new project and CapCut will open. So you drag all of your media over here. So let's say, for instance, I've got my song. So the first thing I would drag in is going to be the song that I generated with Suno. You can see it drags it over here into the audio section. When I click on play, there we go, we've got our song. So now I need to add some visuals, right? Some videos that I've generated with Lumalabs, whatever I decided to use. I'm just going to drag in a random video that I generated. Let's say this is my opening shot. Now you can see I'm connecting some visuals to the audio. So if I click on play, there we go. I've got some visuals that are now connected to the soundtrack. Now from here, it's a matter of just adding, some additional videos to tell a cohesive story. I can't help you with that because you are going to be telling your own story. So you know what type of visuals you need to connect in order to make your video make sense or to actually tell a story. So let's say the next shot is, we've got Eve, and then the next shot is, it's going to be Adam. All right, and then probably the next shot after this, because there's some audio that we can hear, some vocals from the artist. I could maybe add in the next clip, which includes lip syncing that's been done with Dreaminer. I can also layer some sound effects in here. So let's say I've generated, sound effects. Like at the beginning, I added the sound effect of a jungle. This is from Artlist, by the way. I also drag and drop. I make this audio a little bit softer so it's not overpowering the soundtrack. So maybe this can be right at the beginning. So now I'll just click on play. Maybe that's still too loud, so I can bring this down, or I can adjust my volume over here. So you can see the decibels until it's not overpowering the soundtrack. So that just adds an additional layer onto this entire soundscape. Now I can continue this and I can maybe add in another shot. So in this part of the song, there is no vocals, but I like to reduce the volume over here. So I put in these keyframes. So I'll put a keyframe over here, then I'll put another, I'll reduce the volume. As you can see, it's reducing it over here, and it automatically puts a keyframe. So the volume reduces so that I can add in maybe some text to speech over here so that you can hear it a lot clearer. Maybe increase the volume of the audio.
Eve, you're a part of the mire now. I drowned in its poison.
All right, obviously this is just an example. That's where I would maybe add some text to speech accompanied by some visuals as well. And then there's some other cool stuff I can do if I've got very static shots. Sometimes I like to add in a very subtle zoom. So if I select the clip and create a keyframe at the start and then go to the end of the clip and just increase the scale, let's say till about 111, this clip at the start is now going to have a very subtle zoom in, as you can see over there. And it just makes a static shot look a little bit more interesting. Now there's all sorts of stuff that you can do with CapCut. If you go to adjustments, like let's say I've got this clip selected, I can now scroll down over here and I can start messing around, with the color grading. I can maybe reduce the saturation, or I can go to HSL and control the color individually, right? Maybe if I want to control, I feel like the green in this image is a little bit too strong, I can reduce the saturation. But if I was going to do a full tutorial on CapCut, again, would literally be its own tutorial, and this is just a breakdown. So there's some stuff that you guys can just experiment with over here. But I use CapCut to bring my entire video together, and it's just a matter of putting those puzzle pieces together. You can also apply some really cool effects onto your videos. Some of these look cool, but some of them look cheesy. I actually try to avoid using these unless I really need to use them. There is some interesting effects, like you can do stuff with blurring, or you can put a glow effect on top of your videos. So this is an entire rabbit hole to explore as well. and you can even get some cool transition effects if you wanted to, apply an effect that transitions between one clip to another. You can see I just dragged and dropped it over there, so it'll do stuff like that. Now again, I try and avoid using these because they can just make your video look really cheap. I just like to have the effects applied on the video itself. Like the way the video has been generated, I usually just keep it like that. But it depends on what you're going for, I guess. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that you can do with Capcut. I think it's an amazing piece of software just for editing videos. So this is the Venomous project file, and you can see there are so many different layers over here. This is hours and hours of work. I've got the soundtrack, I've got sound effects, I've got my clips that you see over here. All right, I've got my clips. I've even I've done some adjustments over here with color grading under the adjustment section. I've even added in some particles over here, which adds this film grain, which I think looks quite nice. I've done some additional zooming in and connected all of these clips together to create a music video. It takes a long time, it's a lot of effort, and that's why I'm not covering this entire process in this video, but instead just giving you insight. But you can see over here, there's all this layering with the soundtrack, with the text to speech, with the video clips. There's even some text over here that I decided to add as subtitles for Adam. And yeah, it takes time, but the process for doing this is fun, and I just hope this gives you some insight into how to actually, maybe create your own music videos. And then of course, once you've created a video, you just simply click on export, and then you just make sure video is selected. You can choose whatever format you want over here. If your videos are in 60 frames per second, you need to make sure that you select that, but I just leave mine on 30. I make sure watermark is turned off, and I do have a pro subscription. I just have access to more effects. You can still edit a video in here without having a pro account, but I would recommend going pro if you just want more freedom. And that's about it. And then you click on export, and you'll have a video that's been edited and exported out of Capcut. So now I'll show you some useful techniques that I use to generate certain effects in the music video. So during the music video, there's a scene where there's an orange snake slithering on Eve's hand, and this snake was not on her hand previously. So the way that I did this, in my opinion, I think is a very neat little trick. So I essentially just had an image that did not have a snake on it. Now I opened up Photoshop and I just created this extremely rough sketch of where I wanted the snake to be. And then I went to ChatGPT 4.0 with Sora. I uploaded my image over here, and I just typed in the prompt, generate another image in the same style, but now there's an orange snake coiled around the woman's wrist. And I put that on a 3.2 aspect ratio, and I clicked on remix. So now what it does is the AI is intelligent enough to analyze, you can see my entire sketch as well as the shape, but now it generates a realistic looking snake for me. And then I can take it one step further and run this image through Lumalabs Ray 2 to actually bring that snake to life. So this is incredible. We can go from sketch to a realistic version of a snake to a fully generated and animated video. So yeah, give that a try. You can use rough sketches to create a more realistic version of your vision. So there's another shot where you see the snake being burnt onto Eve's hand, and to do this is actually quite simple. So I had this image of the snake on Eve's hand, but now I had to figure out how to actually remove the snake. So to do this, I'm going to use a technique called in-painting. So that's a way to either add or remove elements from an image, and I'm doing this with a platform called FreePic. So on FreePic, they have a feature over here called Retouch. So with Retouch, all I have to do is I just drag and drop my image over here, and it brings up this brush. Now I want to make sure I just click on the X because I want to select erase. Now I can increase my brush size, and I just want to draw a brush that encompasses the entire snake. Right, so just drawing something like this. Now I'll do it very quickly. Right, so wherever this brush is being placed is what's going to be removed from the image. Now it's as simple as that, and I just simply click on erase, and the AI is going to do its best to remove the snake for me. So now I would have an image with the snake removed. Now I did also take this into Photoshop and use clone stamp and some additional digital painting to get rid of some other imperfections. but this image was perfect for this use case. So now I had two images, one with a snake and one with the hand that does not have a snake on it. You could also just maybe try and upload this on ChatGPT 4 and just say remove the snake, but I felt like in painting worked best for this particular use case. So now I went back to using ChatGPT 4 with Sora. I uploaded the image, as you can see over here, and just typed in this prompt that says put a snake tattoo on the white person's arm. The tattoo has been burned onto the skin, and I got this amazing image. Then I saved this, and so now I've got an image of the snake and an image with the tattoo. So I went to Pixverse, and there's an amazing feature over here called transition, which is keyframes. You can put a start and an end frame. So the start frame is the snake, the end frame is the tattoo. I put it on 5 seconds at 720p resolution, and I used this prompt and it gave me this incredible end result. So there's also a shot of Adam turning into a serpent. This was very easy to do. This base image was generated with Reve. Then I went over to Sora.com and I used ChatGPT 4.0, uploaded the image and typed in this prompt to turn him into a serpent with his tongue sticking out, and then I saved this image. So now I've got an image of Adam and an image of the serpent. Then I went to Lumalabs, and on Lumalabs you can also use a keyframe feature over here. You can just simply drag and drop your start frame, which is Adam, and then my end frame, which is going to be the serpent. And I typed in this prompt, which is smooth seamless transition. I made sure I was using Ray 2, and it gave me this incredible transition of Adam turning into a serpent. There's also this end shot where Eve turns into Adam, essentially embodying his toxicity. So in order to do this, very simple. I had my base image over here generated with Reve and a little bit of upscaling with Magnifique on FreePic, but I had this base image, and in order to generate Adam, I basically did this. So I had my base image, and then I had the image of Adam. I uploaded both of these images, and again this is ChatGPT 4.0, and the prompt was replace the woman in the image with the man, and it gave me this end result. So now I had these two images with very similar composition, and you've got character consistency as well. Then I went over to Pixverse. I used this feature over here called transition, where I upload a start and an end frame, so it would be Eve and then Adam, and then I used the following prompt and got this incredible end result. Okay, so that's going to be the end of this breakdown video. Now I know this was a long video, but I tried my best to give you as much insight as possible so that you can see the entire thought process from start to finish on how you can actually create music videos. But this can be used for short films or commercials. As long as you understand the process and how everything is brought together, you can really create some magic. So you guys are super awesome. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, but definitely stay tuned for some more videos and tutorials, and goodbye.